Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening. This is Antoine Cunningham, and I am so happy to be on again for another episode of NTA Exclusive. Thank you for joining us last week. And we had a very exciting show, and today we're going to have an even more exciting show. I'm so happy to be joined by one of our training providers in the person of Mr. Devon Leslie, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about himself in a few minutes. But if you are joining us right now on Facebook or YouTube, I ask you to please share this link with your family and friends. I can see right now that the viewership is going up, but we want to see those numbers get even higher. So please begin to share this link. Right after this commercial break, we're going to go right into a discussion with Mr. Leslie, and he'll be telling us a little bit more about himself.
Do you think you are tech savvy? Or do you want to improve your knowledge in Microsoft Office applications? I have some great news for you. NTA is pleased to announce that for the first time, we are introducing a Business Applications and Technology course. This course will focus on equipping trainees with the knowledge and skills needed to work in a high-performance, technology-driven business and office environment. You will learn how to configure and use PC hardware and software, create and edit documents in Microsoft Word, create spreadsheets in Microsoft Excel, create PowerPoint presentations, and manage meetings, emails, and contacts with Microsoft Outlook. Don't you dare miss this opportunity. To register, visit NTA on Gladstone Road and Munnings Drive. You can also register online at www.ntabahamas.org. For more information, dial 461-6000. Don't delay. Register with NTA today.
Well, we are back. And as I promised, we are on with our training provider from Synergy Bahamas in the person of Mr. Devon Leslie. Mr. Leslie, how are you doing this evening?
I'm great. I'm great. Very well. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the program again.
Yes. We're so happy that you took time out of your busy schedule to be with us today and to have this conversation with me. I so appreciate Synergy Bahamas and all that you guys have done along with the National Training Agency over the years. And that kind of brings me to my first question. I want you to tell our viewing audience on Facebook and YouTube today about Synergy Bahamas. What is Synergy Bahamas and how long have you been in existence?
So we Synergy officially started in the January of 2006. What is this? Just 2024. So it's 18 years, I think. 18 years. And yeah, so we started small. We were a small training organization, small, but I'd like to say that we came in with an impact in the training industry. And I'll talk a little bit more about what I mean by that. But we started in 2006, Wong's Plaza on Madera Street. Focus was primarily, Mr. Cunningham, primarily technology or IT courses and programs. We had the privilege of being the first, in fact, I believe the only Microsoft approved training center here in the country. So we were offering up to the highest levels of Microsoft IT certifications. Myself and the one or two instructors that we had at the time. Of course, I would have had an opportunity to work with that organization prior to that, having achieved various credentials with Microsoft, including the Microsoft Systems engineer, certified. What was it called? Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer certification. Also as a certified trainer, and also having quite a bit of training and credentials in regards to applications. So when we started, we had all of this wealth of structure, contacts, and credentials, and so we were able to leverage that and start, as I said, start strong. 2 classrooms. In fact, we started with 1 classroom. Yeah, and it just grew from there. So over the 18 years, of course, we've created other contacts and formed other associations and partnerships globally, and some of those partnerships allow us to provide certifications for our trainees and our students in 4 general areas. So, of course, information technology is one. So business courses, media and design, Photoshop, Illustrator, web design, etc. And most recently, in the last 6 years, culinary arts and baking. One second. And so, yeah, this is, I guess, our claim to fame. Having had the opportunity to kind of build over the last 18 years, gradually, a strong foundation, if you will, in job skills training that lead to globally recognized certifications.
Awesome. That is so awesome. Thank you for sharing all of that information. And I didn't even know all of those things about Synergy Bahamas. It's so good to get all of that information from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Synergy Bahamas has been working with the National Training Agency for some years now. National Training Agency has been around for going on 11 years. And I have been there from, I guess, basically the very beginning. So I want to ask you if you can remember, how long has Synergy Bahamas been a training provider with NTA?
So we started, I can't remember the exact year, and I believe the cohort was cohort 6. I believe that was the cohort that we started with a national training agency. So that would have been 8 to 9 years. I think this would be the 9th year that we have been affiliated and partnered with NTA, offering a wide variety of training opportunities from, in the early years, from Microsoft Office courses to web design. I think that there were some certainly culinary programs or culinary courses. Actually, culinary came later, but yeah, definitely the similar programs to what I indicated earlier in regards to the programs that we currently offer for the general public. So again, web design, graphic design, I forgot that, but mostly the business applications.
Awesome. So you kind of went over into my next question, but I just wanted to find out from you currently, as it stands now, what are the current training opportunities that are offered through Synergy Bahamas for NTA?
Well, so most recently with cohort 23, we completed 10 weeks of training in a program we call Business Applications and Technology, along with the Culinary Arts and Baking program, a very popular class with the agency and with the general public. Bahamians like to be in the kitchen; they like cooking. So we've had an opportunity to do very well in that regard. But those are the 2 main things that we currently offer training in terms of the course content.
Awesome. In a few minutes, we're just going to go a little bit more into the meat of business applications and technology, so you can kind of just expand on that and tell us exactly what's covered. We're just going to go back to another quick commercial break, and we'll continue with our conversation. Thank you for joining us on Facebook and YouTube today. Continue to share this live feed. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Do you long for an unwavering sense of purpose and conviction? Repositioned Here to Air by Agatha K. Marcel dispels the myth that to be successful, one must maintain a separate personal and professional life. Learn how childhood interests are strong indicators of the path you will take and how your fundamental principles and morals will stay with you even through life's detours. Your purpose comes from God, and the closer you get to Him, the clearer your purpose will become. Available at Amazon, your local bookstore, or at trilogy.tv.
And we are back. If you are just joining us, I am on with one of our training providers in the person of Mr. Devon Leslie from Synergy Bahamas. And today we are specifically talking about one of our new areas of training, business applications and technology. And before the break, he would have told us a little bit about Synergy Bahamas and himself. And now we're going to get into the meat of business applications and technology. Now, when I hear the term business applications and technology, several things come to mind. You know, me being a techie person myself, but I also hear the business application side of it. So tell me, what is business applications technology and what are some of the main areas that are covered?
Okay, good question. So the idea, well, I'll give you our course description first of all of the program, and then we'll break it down further. So the primary intent, right, of the business applications and technology course is to equip trainees with the foundational knowledge and practical skills needed to work in businesses, industries, office environments that leverage technology and utilize, in this case, the Microsoft business applications in their day-to-day use. And so the thought behind that is to ensure that our trainees, once they would have completed their 10 weeks with us, 14 weeks with NTA in total, that they would have had again, a foundation of knowledge and skills that will allow them to go into the workforce and essentially know how to, utilize the equipment, the computers, printers, even to the point of troubleshooting. And I'll talk a little bit more about that because as we get into what the course actually covers. And then, so from a hardware perspective, having a solid foundation and understanding what the different components are, how to put them together, how to fix them in a regard, right? And then the software associated with that. So they would have gotten the hardware side of things. Then we moved on to the operating system. So knowing how to manage and manipulate, again, foundationally, the Microsoft operating system like Windows 11. And then from there into the applications. So the applications being, in this case, Microsoft Word, Excel, which is extremely popular and well sought after in the world, but specifically in business. They also, and they love this, well, not really, but they love the opportunity to expand their communication skills with PowerPoint. And I'll tell you why I said that, because we had a group of fairly unique in regards to the experiences I've had with the cohorts over the years. We had a group of 11 young men and one female in the cohort. Wow. That would be the business applications and technology class. And that was the first time. In the past, we would have had, I think at best, half and half at best, but more often it would be mostly women and then, maybe one or two young men. But this is the first time I've had an opportunity to work with that many young Bahamian men in a group, in a class setting. And I was it was really exciting. And I felt, Mr. Cunningham, I felt at the end, well, actually, I felt at the beginning when I saw all of the young men in the class. It's like, yeah, there's still an opportunity here. We still, all is not lost, as they say. And that was even further proven by the way that they embrace the learning. But I'll come back to that. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and then finally Microsoft Outlook.
Yes.
And that represents the most popular applications used globally, again, in business. And so they were left, or they had the opportunity to leave the class at the end of those 10 weeks with that knowledge, so they can really just go into a workforce, again, at the entry level scenario, and perform, without having to, too much hand holding, as they say. And so that's what we were able to accomplish in the most recent cohort.
That's awesome. I had forgotten about the male female ratio that you had for the business applications, but that is awesome because usually when you talk about business courses, you always see more female than male, so it's so interesting. And I think that is something that should be recognized even when we have our upcoming graduation, to know that, the class was predominantly male,
Yes.
and according to you, it seems like they have all been doing well. So I'm very, very excited to hear about that, and I would like to encourage parents that may be watching this show
Yep.
to please send your young people, particularly young men, because a lot of times we feel like young men, they can only do a certain type of job, if that makes sense. So it's very good to hear you say that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and having the opportunity to share not only the skills that they came, but also life lessons. I was particularly happy to have that opportunity, because I think it was obvious in that class, what I'm about to say. I believe that a lot of times our young men just need to have somebody that they can relate to, another male figure, if you will, that may have shared similar experiences in terms of their upbringing, but has positive stories and
Yes.
positive encouragement. You know what I mean? That I believe goes a long way, and I honestly, I'm getting chills thinking about it. I experienced that with a number of the trainees in this last cohort, and so I almost feel like I have an obligation to continue to be that, I guess, mentor, if you will. And I'm talking about beyond, of course, beyond just the training experience. I believe that training experience, coupled with a genuine interest in showing others, particularly young men, that here is the path to success. Here's the path to change. Because not always it's clear what that is, particularly when you're 19, 20, 21. You're still trying to figure it out. So you have somebody like myself, somebody like you, somebody, the various persons in the NTA and Synergy that can say, listen, here's what I learned. Now take this and use it for your betterment and for your walk, if you will, through life. And I think I'm happy to say that they were, many of them, most of them, in fact, I feel like all of them were receptive to that experience. And I thank God for having the opportunity to be there to do that.
Yes. Thank you so much. We are continuing this conversation with Mr. Devon Leslie from Synergy Bahamas, one of the training providers for NTA. And we're so excited to be talking about one of our new training offerings for those of you who are just joining us, business applications and technology. And Mr. Leslie, as we talk about business applications and technology, and you've already told me about some of the things covered, it kind of already answers my next question. I was going to ask you, how do you feel about this program and the certification that they would get at the end? Do you believe that this would actually put somebody in a better position for employment, somebody who is just coming into the work world? who doesn't have much experience and they now have this under their belt, how do you feel that certification would help them with landing a job?
Okay. Now, just let me think about how I'm going to respond to this, because I believe that the training experience and the certificate that they receive at the end has a number of significant benefits that will help for the trainees as they move forward in life in regards to jobs, etc. Let me see if I can break that down a little bit. So certainly a certificate from Synergy, that and we are obviously NACOB approved, so all our programs are recognized throughout the country, right? So a certificate from Synergy, particularly in this program, is a validation, if you will, to those trainees that were successful in completing the program. And so I mentioned at the beginning of our show here that we have a number of global credentials or partnerships, if you will, in regards to the various programs that we offer. And so as a result of those partnerships and those associations, we maintain a very high standard, if you will, in regards to our credentials and our certifications and our programs. Our passing grade is 70%, right? Which might seem high. I mean, not really, but it may seem high when compared to certain, I guess, allowances that we have today from an academic standpoint. But the 70% represents the global standard for those organizations that we're associated with, as well as the certifications that come along with them. So we maintain a high standard in that regard. So achieving a passing score at Synergy tells the trainee and then potentially the employer that, okay, this person actually worked their butt off, right? And they have proven that they acquired at least the foundation that they needed to be able to be successful. So they've applied themselves, yeah? And if I can even extend that a little bit, I mean, we have quite a bit of relationships, if you will, from a training standpoint with corporate Bahamas as well. We have a lot of companies that we assist from an employee standpoint, employee training standpoint. So they know the standard. So if you get an NTA trainee graduate with a Synergy certificate, a lot of the organizations that we already assist will already know what that standard is. So that goes a long way. But here's another thing, Mr. Cunningham, that I'd like you to consider, you and your listeners. I believe that when particularly young persons have an opportunity to achieve something that they have not achieved before, that it puts their confidence level in another place, right? So, I find that sometimes you have, particularly our young men, they may not have the highest of self-esteem. And that could be from years of being told that you can't do it, or, hearing the wrong messages in the various neighborhoods and friends and whatnot, right? So you might find, having a conversation with them, they might be, not looking you in the eye. You're doing an interview, that the shoulders are hunched forward and they're looking down, because the self-esteem isn't there. But you give them this training, you give them this opportunity to get this learning experience, and then you compound that with, here's your certificate of completion at the end because you've earned it. That changes perspective, And so now these persons are going out there not only with a certificate to say, yeah, I accomplished that, but also with a sense of confidence. And I believe we may be underappreciating the power of that. Success breeds success, Mr. Cunningham. And I believe that this is NTA and Synergy and the partnership that we have, that we're setting a foundation for success for these NTA trainees.
Yes.
And I'm excited again to continue to be a part of that. And so, yeah, to answer your question, I believe that for all the things I just said, that yes, they are now equipped and in a better place to be successful as they move through their careers.
That is so awesome. That's so awesome because a lot of times I get questions from potential trainees and also parents out there who have an interest in what we do and they want to know what's going to happen at the end of the training. And I always tell people that NTA is not just a place that you come to look for a job, even though you may be unemployed, but we want to equip you so that you would be able to be employable, because a lot of the young persons that we actually go after, they don't even have the entry level requirements in order to attain a job. So for them to get a certification from somebody like Synergy Bahamas, taught by people like yourself, it definitely puts them in a better position based on what you have told me. And not only learning about the technology, but also the business applications. And you talked about their decorum and how they are to respond in interviews and all this kind of stuff. I believe that is so awesome. That is so awesome. And I applaud you for the work that you're doing along with your team there at Synergy Bahamas. And we encourage you to continue to keep moving forward. I'm going to ask you one last question, and I know this may be a little bit difficult for you because there are so many trainees that have already passed through Synergy Bahamas. But if there is one trainee that comes to mind, that one that stands out to you, that you can say definitely did well in the program, and you have a little bit of knowledge of what they are doing today, where they ended up as a result of this training, is there one trainee that comes to mind?
That is an impossible question to answer for a couple of reasons. One is that I would feel I don't know if I would feel it would be fair to pick one person from, as I said, 9 years of experiences in terms of training. That's probably 6 from 23. That's 17, 18 cohorts. We're blessed, right? We are blessed in that we have this opportunity to live a life where we're having, the opportunity to give people experiences that they can take with them for the rest of their lives. And there has been a number of trainees that I can think of, some that have contacted me after the fact, years later, to express how significant of an opportunity it was to them and how it changed their perspective. Matter of fact, if I know this is not the answer to your question, but I'd like to share a couple of quotes from the last cohort, this last NTA cohort 23. So one of the exercises that we did at the end in the class, in the course, was to have them provide an email, right? So we were training in Outlook, of course. And so at the very, very end, their Outlook final assessment, there was to send an email. There were certain criteria that they had to meet that I was grading on. But in the email itself, I said, provide some thoughts about your experience in the cohort, from starting with NTA, those first 4 weeks, and then on into Synergy. So I'm going to share, because I pulled a few in preparation for our interview. So I pulled a few of their quotes, and I just want to share it with your audience. And I guess I would also like to have an opportunity to leave, I guess, a message to those cohort, to those trainings as well. But here's a couple of things that was said, right? And I'm not going to call their names, but I think it's important for people to hear what their experiences was like. So one of the persons, one of the trainees says, when I first came to NTA and Synergy Bahamas, I usually never interact with other people. Now I talk to other people regularly without being nervous. And I learned soft skills and practical skills like communications, and I can navigate the Microsoft Office, something that I've never used before. That's one of the trainings. Another one, my time at NTA was willfully spent, made a few friends, and ultimately found a direction for my life and what it is I want to achieve. I mean, think about those words. Found a direction for my life. That's what we are involved with, Ms. Cunningham. Another one, since the beginning of February, this is the beginning of the cohort, I've had one of the most interesting yet rewarding experiences with the National Training Agency. As I was entirely interested in the discipline of business applications and technology, I wasn't sure how well I would grasp the concepts. I refused to let my fear stop me from trying. I am grateful for the opportunities provided by NTA, and I appreciate the amount of training options and structure that is put into place by NTA. So, and that's just 3 different persons out of a group of 12. And that was for the business apps and technology. That didn't even cover the culinary arts and baking class, which was even larger, right? Because it was 2 groups of those. And so this is what we're doing, right? We're affecting change and we're setting foundations. And I keep on saying it, but I don't know how else to put it. We're blessed to be able to do so. I can remember, and I know that we might be running out of time, so I'll cut this short very soon. But I can remember at the beginning of the program, there were, as I said, 11 young men, 1 young lady, right? And invariably in our culture, for whatever reason, our women tend to be a little bit more focused, right? So the young lady that was a part of the program, and God bless her, because she's 1 female in a group of, a very large class of men. But she held her own. In fact, she completed the program with the 3rd highest score, right? But for the fact that I had 11 young men, Mr. Cunningham, obviously all with varying personalities, varying experiences, it was interesting to say the least. I had 1 young man that, and I won't call his name, but he knows who he is, right? That he was very easily distracted, Mr. Cunningham, easily distracted, lack of focus, but despite that, his energy was, I really want to get the most out of this. So it's obvious that he didn't come in there with a lot of, I guess, hope, if you will, right? And even some of the conversations I would have had, with others, about him as he came into the program, there wasn't a great deal of expectation that he was going to pass. And honestly, it was a challenge because, again, I don't think that was the structure that he was used to. But I'll tell you this, he did pass the course, right? Awesome. He did pass. And I saw and I witnessed his, I wouldn't use the word transformation, but his growth.
Yes.
Right? His desire to do better. Like, he was one of the only ones that would come to me, Mr. Leslie, how am I doing? How am I doing? And now during the class, I say, listen, hey, focus, bring me back your attention, put your phone down, blah, 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 right? But despite that, he would show that desire to get the most. And so I believe, despite the fact that he wouldn't have had the highest score, Mr. Cunningham, I believe that the experience that he had is right up there with those persons that got the 90% and the 95s and whatnot, because the expectation was that he was going to fail. And I believe he had that expectation as well. And so I'm happy that we are, again, able to do this kind of thing with persons like the young man I'm mentioning here. So I wanted to send a shout out to my former trainees from cohort 23, Aaron, Alex, Isaac, Jonathan, Joshua, Justin, Candice, Laquan, Patrick, Rashad, Terrence, and Truman. You guys were awesome. I'm blessed to have had the opportunity to work with you guys. There are a couple of you guys that really, blossomed in this training. And of course, those are persons that would have been awarded certain opportunities I don't know if it was mentioned to you, Mr. Cunningham, but unlike previous cohorts where we would take one person out of each class, synergy that is, and award them the highest, we call them the star student, the star recipient.
Star recipient, yes.
Yeah, so we would award them typically Synergy would award them a scholarship to attend whatever course that they want free of charge. But I've just, because of, again, the fact that we had this many young men, and also the fact that, there was I think a universal, change and benefit to a number of these students. I decided to tweak that a little bit. And matter of fact, right now, I haven't announced this officially to NTA, and I actually wasn't sure I was going to, but we have 3 of those trainees currently registered in IT courses at Synergy.
Woo! That's awesome.
3 of them. 3 young men, the 3 with the 3 highest scores, and the young lady that I mentioned, the one young lady, she was just recently hired this week at Synergy. So she will also have an opportunity through her employment to get free training in any of the disciplines or areas that she chooses to pursue. So,
awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So thank you so much. I appreciate the story that you shared with me, that last story about the young man, because it speaks about what NTA is really about. We don't necessarily go after the high achievers, but we want those young people who have a willingness to try, somebody who wants to get better than what they are. We recognize that not everybody is good in the classroom. Some people are better with hands-on, competency-based training, and we are so appreciative to hear stories like that. People who may not have had, all of that brain knowledge, but they had that willingness to keep going and to keep pushing. And now, as a result, they are certified and they have that experience under their belt. So I want to say again to you, Mr. Leslie, thank you. Thank you. We are out of time right now. This has been a wonderful show. And I'm hoping that anybody watching this today and who may watch this later on, they would be encouraged to either sign up for this program if they meet our criteria. Of course, they can register by coming into our office on Gladstone Road and Munnings Drive, and our registration team will be more than happy to assist you. You can also begin your registration process by applying online if you wish, www.ntabahamas.org. Again, www.ntabahamas.org. If you need any further information regarding the business applications and technology training or any of our other training modules, you can give us a call at 461-6000, and one of our team members will be very happy to assist you. Mr. Leslie, thank you. Thank you once again for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you all for watching. Continue to share this video with your family and friends. Have a wonderful evening.